when the fire occurred. But this is kidney tissue at times 40. I think it's probably a lot. I think that's, I've put the wrong thing on there. I reckon that's more like times 100. Why would I think that? Why would I think that's times 100?
It's big.
Yeah, the actual sizes of the cells, which you can see around here. See, you can follow your way around the cells here. This would be the cell membrane. And these blue dots, which I talked to you about before, would be the nucleus of the cell. They're not always in the middle of the cell, like they're drawn off and they're right at the side, they're anywhere. Okay, so because they're so much larger, I'd say this would be at least times 100, this magnification, despite me writing times 40. Why do some cells not have that blue nucleus, do you think? The nucleus, every cell has a nucleus, it's got the DNA, it controls the cell, tells the cell what to do and what to make. Alright? Normally you see them drawn in books as like a cell, as like a circular shape with a large black dot nucleus in it. It can be anywhere in the cell. And you've got your other cell things in here too. So that's a nucleus. Now why would some cells, why can't you see the nucleus? They're too small? No, because I can see them on the other cells. Why not?
They're not there.
They're not there. So the cell doesn't have nucleus?
Yeah.
Good question. That's a possibility, but it's not the correct one. Anyone else? Say again? Different kind of cell? Good idea too, but no, it's not the correct answer.
It's dead.
It's dead? Another great possibility, but still not the correct answer. Not sure still.
It's a mutant.
Right, what are we doing to get this picture? The magnifying. What did we do earlier on before we put it on the magnifier?
Sliced it.
We sliced it really thin.
And cut off the nucleus.
Okay, now that's a hint. Sorry?
Is that a different part?
It's a different part of the cell. Exactly. So if this is the cell, the cells that we've collected and they're all joined together like this, and then we section through here, and the nucleus for that one might be underneath, and this one might be at the top, and we've only taken this section out to look at. Alright, the nucleus is still there, but it's not in the section we cut out, we can't see it. Just like that human, when we sectioned through the head, we saw the eyes, the little eyeballs looking out, but they weren't looking anymore because he was dead. But we saw the eyes and the brain and the muscles that innervated the eyes. But we didn't see the other organs. We didn't see his heart or his lungs or his intestine because we were at a different level. So when you can't see some of the cell contents at this magnification, it's just because you're sectioning through a really small level and you can't see it. Doesn't mean it's not there. How do we feel about that? 1 to 10. 8. 8.
7. 8.
All right, so we're pretty good on what we're looking at with those cells, what the nucleus is, there's a cell membrane, why we can't see certain things, how we're sectioning, why we don't see things. That's what I want to get you to. So when you get on the microscopes, it starts to make some sense. Otherwise, you just look at it. You don't know what you're looking at. Right, let's go to the next slide. Muscle tissue. Obviously here, we've got two different shapes. The shape on the left is more compact and rounded, and the shape over here is all elongated. Why would that be? Yes? Oh yeah, I did spell muscle wrong. This is what happens when you work late or in a hurry. Okay, why? The muscle tissue is the red stuff. In between here, there's either fat tissue, because fat gets dissolved in these stains, and it becomes like an air pocket, looks like an air pocket. So, maybe not the ones you're looking at, but ones that have this really red colour to everything, the fat gets dissolved. So, we're only left only with the muscle tissue, and you can still see, if you look carefully, some little blue spots where there are nucleus. It's harder to see in this one, but you can just see a few of them. Why is there a different shape? Could be different muscle, good idea, but not in this case, no. It's got to do with sectioning again.
Different sections.
At the other side. Yeah, I think what you're saying, if this is a muscle growing up like this and there's another muscle growing that way, when you section through this way, you're going to get all the muscle fibres growing up the body, but if there's a muscle going that way, you're going to be cutting along the side of the muscle. So that's all it is. On the left here, you've got a cross section. On the right, you've got a transverse section, because the muscles are just growing a different way. When you cut it along like that, some of them you're seeing the tops like that, and some of them you're seeing the sides, because they're just growing different ways. How do we feel about that? Put your hand up if you get that now. Thanks, Dewey.
Get it now.
This is an interesting one, skin tissue. Alright? On the outside, this is obviously the air, and this is the surface of your skin. Smooth as a baby's bottom, isn't it? Alright? Now, I can't remember where this was from. I think it was from Fingers or something. Can't remember the exact location. Alright? And I've got a labelled one after this that I've labelled. Right? But looking at this is where you've got the fat deeper down, and it's been dissolved. So you can't, it's empty. What do you think this big organ here might be?
Sweat gland.
Sweat gland, good idea. What else? A pimple? No, it's not a pimple. Can you see anything else there? There's another one here. Look at this. Ah, good. Actually, both of you have both said the right thing. We've just got it the wrong way around. The one on the left, the big one in the middle here, that's actually a hair follicle. And the hair grows out of there. And at the base here, you can see these two muscles called the erector pili that make it go up when you're cold, and when your hair stands on end when you're cold or you're afraid. And when you're not, it lets it go down. So that, at the bottom here, that's the muscle tissue. This one here, you're right, feeds down, I can't remember the name of the actual organ. There's 4 different types of organs that produce sweat, three or four. But that one feeds deep down into where all these, and if you look further down in this picture, it's not in here, there's more and more of this fat that's been dissolved. So that actually allows all of the fat to seep out with the sweat onto the surface of the skin. All in that one slide. Pretty good slide, I was very happy with that one. Again, there's muscle tissue. This seems to be going backwards, I'm pressing the wrong button. Alright, and there's a labelled diagram so you can have a look later. Endothelium just means outer layer. Connective tissue is not skin and muscle, it's the other type of tissue that's really common in your body. Adipocytes just means fat cells, and they've been dissolved. And the square section, of course, is the hair follicle we just talked about. Now, here's the human testes. Again, in case you're wondering, they're not mine. They're from a dead person that died in interesting circumstances. Now, I'm not sure why they took a sample of that. Maybe he died in hospital and he was sick, so they had to make sure that he died of, some sort of cancer. It might have been testicular cancer. I don't know. When they have all their samples there, they didn't give me personal information about each case. They just gave me some great samples to photograph. So I don't know why they would have used that sample of tissue. All right, again here, this is the seminiferous tubule, and that's where the sperm are produced inside there. As they grow into the centre here, they become mature, whereas at the side here they're immature. So they'll be. Do we know what diploid and haploid is?
No.
No. Right. At the outside, they've got 2 lots of every chromosome, like all of our other cells. When they become mature on the inside and turn into mature sperm, they only have 1 set of genetic information, 1 set of chromosomes. And they go through a process as they grow in towards the centre, and then they're released for fertilisation. And again, in the case of the sperm, most of what they are is genetic information. They're not like an egg cell or other cells that have lots of cytoplasm and actually do stuff. Most cells produce stuff, have a function. All the sperm's function is to wriggle around and fertilise. So it doesn't have a lot of cytoplasm.